The two punitive bills of the U.S. are said to be sugar-coated sanctions set to crumble Ethiopia. And analysts calls on national dialogue participants not to come to the table with prefixed agenda. Greetings everyone and a very warm welcome to the news. With the news, I'm Shifara Olakawa, and to stay with us. Now, in honor of Ethiopian returnees from Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hosted around 250 returnees for an iftar dinner yesterday evening at the office of the Prime Minister. It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has been returning thousands of Ethiopians over several months and will continue doing so until its citizens return to their homes. Ethiopia started repatriating its nationals who are living in harsh conditions in Saudi Arabia on March 30, 2022. The committee has been established to oversee the repatriation of Ethiopians from Saudi Arabia. It aims to bring at least 102,000 citizens who are currently in detention centers of Saudi Arabia, and more than 6,700 Ethiopians have been repatriated from Saudi Arabia so far. Now, the National Committee established to oversee and facilitate the Eid to Eid call had a virtual meeting yesterday with Ethiopian mission leaders regarding ongoing preparations to facilitate the homecoming process. The leaders of Ethiopian missions in neighboring countries, Europe and North America, have participated in the meeting. The chair of the committee, State Minister Ambassador Burtukan Ayano, said activities in the Eid to Eid call are underway in line with the plans announced recently. The State Minister called on the Ethiopian missions to take a leading role in advocating the Eid to Eid call and facilitating support to make it successful. The co-chairperson of the committee, Ustaz Abubakar, on his part, reiterated the multiple benefits of the call, besides the opportunity it would furnish to showcase the status of Islam in Ethiopia. Deputy Director General of the Ethiopian Diaspora Agency, Mohammed Idris, stressed the value of the call in positively portraying Ethiopia and supporting conflict-affected people, which necessitates the support of Ethiopians from all walks of life. Ethiopian mission leaders who participated in the meeting have detailed their activities regarding the Eid to Eid call, which included ongoing works with various associations of the Ethiopian diaspora community. Now, moving on, over the past 2 days, more than 50 trucks carrying food items and fuel have departed from Samara in the state of Afar, heading to Tigray. The statement the government communication service issued yesterday said. It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government declared a truce for humanitarian need of the people of Tigray. Since this decision, the Ethiopian government has taken several measures to facilitate humanitarian aid, the statement noted. The government is facilitating daily air transportation to the region for the delivery of pharmaceuticals, medical equipment and nutritional supplements. In recent development, the Ethiopian government facilitated the movement of 60 trucks carrying humanitarian aid in the past 2 days, the statement pointed out. The statement noted that this action came in accordance with efforts being made to ensure humanitarian assistance to reach the intended beneficiaries in the region. Some 50 trucks, 47 of which carrying food items, and 3 fuel tankers departed from Samara, Afar region on April 14, 2022 and have now passed Irbeti town heading toward Mekelle, the statement said. In addition, another fleet of 10 trucks carrying food items departed from Samara town in the past 2 days, it said. The Ethiopian government reaffirms its commitment to working closely with the international community and other stakeholders to ensure proper access to humanitarian aid. The government also urged the international community to put pressure on Tigray militants to withdraw fully from the areas they occupy in the Afar and Amhara regions to pave the way for a smooth aid delivery for those in need.
Ethiopia is poised to hold national dialogue to seek remedies for polarized politics affecting its peace and stability. Various views are being reflected regarding the national dialogue. What is expected from the political elites, interest groups, the government, and the public at large? These are issues to be raised in News and Analysis Hour, which we will bringing you in April on this news hour, only on ETV Languages channel, beginning 9 p.m. I am Goshu Melso.
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Now, a scholar says the 2 proposed draft bills to sanction Ethiopia are sugar-coated bills to crumble Ethiopia. Democracy and Development consultant Alamayo Arada disclosed that the proposed bill's Stability, Peace and Democracy Act threatens historic relationships between Ethiopia and the United States of America. Attempts to pass the draft bills by the U.S. Senate and Congress members do not consider the reality on the grounds and undermine Ethiopia's initiative for peace. Gushu Melisawal sat down with the scholar and filed the following report.
Ethiopia has declared an indefinite humanitarian truce to hasten humanitarian assistance in Tigray. However, the U.S. Congress insisting on passing H.R. 6600 and S.R. 3199 draft bills on Ethiopia.
These bills are very strong.
Reflecting on the matter, Dr. Alamayo Arada said the 2 draft bills proposed to sanction Ethiopia are honey-coated bills to crumble Ethiopia.
They try to convince us that these bills are being developed or are being ratified to encourage Ethiopia to go towards stabilization, peace, and promotion of democracy. But for me, when I saw the bills, they are just like bottled poisons with a very nice level. Why are they doing this? I wish I know, because I don't see any enmity of Ethiopia against the United States. The sanctions included within these bills are required to be targeted towards enemies, not friends.
The scholar disclosed that the proposed bills, Stability, Peace and Democracy Act, threatens historic relationships between Ethiopia and the United States.
The United States and Ethiopia are good long-time friends. How can these bills strengthen bilateral relationship when they are threatening us? They are not taking us as friends. They are not even giving any consideration to the long-time history of our relationship.
The draft bills introduced by the U.S. do not promote peace and stability in Ethiopia. Rather, it exacerbates the undesired situation.
When you see inside the bills themselves, the sanctions stated within the bills are very dangerous. They will put Ethiopia in a very destabilized, economically destabilized country. So how can they bring peace and stability when they are threatening you? You see, a friend doesn't threaten when it wants to advise you to go towards peace.
TPLF and its sympathizers are insisting the U.S. Congress members to the resolution to be passed, Alamayo added.
There are collaborators in this hybrid war started by the TPLF. There are stooges within the Congress, stooges within the Senate, and there are interested parties even in the European Commission. There are interested groups within the State Department of the United States and other agencies. So they are trying to promote this towards its ratification so that Ethiopia kneels down and submits to the will of probably the most important beneficiary that we said is the TPLF.
He urged the bills are targeted on the national interests of Ethiopia. Therefore, all Ethiopians and friends of Ethiopia should oppose it.
No more Brad Sherman! No more Brad Sherman! No more Brad Sherman!
Now, moving on, some U.S. Congress members are carrying TPLF's sinister burdens on their back and proposing all sorts of sanctions on a sovereign nation. That's according to an international affairs advisor. The international affairs advisor, Lul Tamrat, also says the two punitive bills of H.R. 6600 and S3199 are relying on false information and wrong narratives about Ethiopia. Talking to ETV English, the scholar stated that the U.S. bills didn't recognize the real situation in Ethiopia, but threaten the progress of the peace initiative that the government has been taking to end conflict and restore stability. Habtam Ashagri reports.
I really appreciate your effort to make this exclusive interview. Thank you very much, Mr. Lu. What is the objective of HR 6600 against the government of Ethiopia, and what's your comment?
If you look at the bill, you will observe that the bill would bring harsh economic sanctions on Ethiopia, even revoking financial assistance. And those measures, from my point of view, would probably target people who are lowest on the food chain in Ethiopia and not really bring stability.
Do you think that HR 6600 can bring peace, development, stability, as well as democracy in Ethiopia?
This draft of the bill is grounded on false assumptions and also on wrong narratives. These narratives would be, in my view, that the bill tries to somehow rescue the Tigrayan people at all, because it is of the opinion that the Ethiopian government specifically targeted Tigrayans, which is not the case in my view. In my view, the reality on the ground is that there's some kind of conflict between the TPLF and the Ethiopian government. And it's not about punishing the Tigrayan people, which would, from my point of view, wouldn't make any sense, because Tigrayans are Ethiopians, and even the region of Tigray is even one of the ancient regions of Ethiopia.
Do you think that HR 6600 can recognize all wrong deeds orchestrated by TPLF and OLF in Ethiopia? What's your comment?
The Ethiopian, the American government should be able to gain the facts on the ground and the right information. And I'm not quite sure why 30 years of wrongdoings are ignored, and even the peace efforts of the Ethiopian government, meaning the release of certain TPLF members, even that the Ethiopian government is not penetrating into Tigray. These are all peace efforts which are somehow ignored.
What kind of efforts are needed to make things clear that the government of US and other Western countries about the HR 6600, the hard fact on the ground in Ethiopia, and what you're saying?
The Ethiopian government is not a neutral observer, so we need to bring more neutral observers into this discussion, and also we need to communicate neutral observers to communicate the facts on the ground. So it is very crucial, not only for the Ethiopian diaspora, but also for scholars, for journalists who are not parts of this conflict, who are maybe even not Ethiopians, to bring them into this, I would call it even media war, information war, because this is, at the end of the day, we can observe an information war. So if the world public is conscious about the reality on the ground, there's no way this bill can get through. I'm very sure about that.
Mr. Lul, I really appreciate your commitment, passion, and energy to make this exclusive interview. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Mr. Abtam. I'm wondering how this can be.
welcome to Somali state of Ethiopia. Beautiful people, it's your favorite village boy, Mr. Ghana Baby, right here in Ethiopia. You know what? This is my 7th time in Ethiopia. Today I decided to go somewhere else, and this place that I am is called Jigjiga. It's a Somali state inside Ethiopia. I need a bachad. Oh, man, it's all the time full. It's also full, man. So whenever you come to like Jigjiga, the Somali state of Ethiopia, I think this will be your taxi.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Addis News Hour, and thank you for being with us. Now, moving on, the conflict resolution analyst Degafe Debalke says national dialogue is not an event, but rather a process. In his interview with the Guest of the Week program today, he also says participants of the dialogue process should not come to the table with a prefixed agenda. Everybody should rather be part of the national dialogue, sharing responsibility for a better Ethiopia, the scholar has advised. Tikusar Nisa has the following story.
The national dialogues have a potential to reduce violence by transferring grievances voiced from the street into formalized processes. It provides an inclusive, broad and participatory official negotiation format which can resolve political crises and lead countries into political transitions. Conflict resolution analyst and practitioner Dr. Degafe Debalke expressed that the national dialogue is not about somebody winning or somebody losing, rather it's about everybody winning.
The other aspect of the national dialogue is what are the issues we're trying to address? These are not predetermined issues. They can come from different directions, from the general public, from the NGOs, from civil society, from political parties, from individuals, from arts community, from many people. But we have to be careful not to think all those questions coming into the Commission could find an answer.
You're right.
That's overstretched. So I go back to that definition of the definition of the Commission itself, the dialogue, the mandate. Every question coming to the table will be fed into that definition. And then, as you know, dialogue or Agarawi Mikikar is not somebody winning, somebody losing. It's about winning together.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wins. It's not a political conversation. It's not a national reconciliation process. So we have to be careful to manage expectations of general public. In order to manage that expectation is to make sure that the definition provided by the general public, the proclamation, and other parties is specific to that task.
Definitely.
And we will do the job based on that reality.
He further added that national dialogue is not an event, rather a process.
Dialogue is recurring, ongoing process.
Definitely.
The advantage of that is the process itself becomes a platform of building a culture of dialogue.
Oh yeah.
Also, the process might provide some outcomes, addressing some major issues. But where we have to be sensitive and careful is that it's like eating an elephant. You know, I had a teacher who used to ask me, Degafe, how do you eat an elephant? Small piece at a time.
Definitely.
There are lots of elephant issues in this country. If we want to address all of them at once, we might choke. We might not be able to manage it. So, first of all, we have to agree this dialogue commission, Agarawi Mikikar Commission, It's not a temporal platform where 1, 2, 3, 4, tick, 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 we go home. No. It's a door being opened to build a culture of dialogue.
The GAFI also underscored that everybody who feels like building a future for the country at large should be part of the national dialogue.
So with development, with progress, we are required to do new dialogues, new conversations, new laws. And so what this merits is that the first outcome or the first positive result of the Dialogue Commission is introducing how to resolve differences through dialogue, through conversation, through engagement, through gathering. That's the first step. The second step is, of course, the deliverables. There are issues they have to deliver.
Awesome, definitely.
They have to provide to the government recommendations, or whatever it is. So I think it's a very, very positive start. But in any setting of this kind, the first question is, who should be at the table? And my answer is everybody.
Definitely. It will be all-inclusive.
It's all-inclusive. Everybody, anybody who feels I am part of this country. I would like to see a better country. I would like to see problems being resolved. Anybody who is willing to engage in that manner should be at the table.
He further noted that participants of the dialogue process should not come to the table with a prefixed agenda.
Most of the political discussion in this country has been taking place with locked hearts. Because the mind is calculating what is in it for me, what is in it for my group. It's not inclusive thought. And I think if the participants, whether it's the farmer, the politician, the doctor, the artist, the army, whoever comes to the table, they have to come with open heart. If those people coming to the conversation are coming with fixed agenda, saying that I have to win, that's not dialogue.
Absolutely.
Because you have a specific political agenda, that's a different conversation. This is more forward-looking. I have a child, grandchild, other people have children, grandchildren, families. What is their future? This dialogue must be anchored on that.
National dialogues are inclusive throughout the entire negotiation process, meaning that participants are involved in discussions in all phases. When talking about national dialogue, the main goal has to be about understanding the past, recovering the present, and envisioning the future.
Now, the chairperson of the National Dialogue Commission, Professor Masfin Arwaya, expresses commitment and readiness to put Ethiopia on a solid foundation. The Commission has so far been organizing itself to step into its mission of holding the major discussion among Ethiopians. The 11-member Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission is tasked with facilitating an inclusive dialogue and reconciliation process that would build a consensus on key issues and help the country solve its complex problems. Kazan Chane reports.
Of all the first, Professor Masfin, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me, Atokasa.
Okay, moving on to my first question. What are the major steps of the Commission to be undertaken?
In our case, the major stakeholder is the public, followed by different stakeholders, would be religious institutions, civic societies, different parties, ruling as well as the opposition party groups, the youth, the disabled, the pastoralists, the farmers, you name it, including the media, definitely. So we are working on that line, and at the same time we have started, we're also in the introductory phase, bringing or exposing ourselves to different stakeholders. So, for instance, within a day or two, we'll meet the civic society leaders, including the umbrella organization called the CRDA. And at the same time, we've been inviting different stakeholders, including
those who worked on dialogue in the past. And at the same time, we've also been working on the budget, the structure, because we have different groups, as I told you earlier. One is the resource mobilization unit. The other is the law unit, which works on different regulations. And the third is the communication, the media and communication sector.
Professor, moving on to my second question, would you please tell us the mandate of your commission, please?
The whole idea is that after proper dialogue, the public would come into a general consensus. Even if the public doesn't come to the consensus, that agenda will be brought to the fore and be rediscussed. And finally, the hope is that we'll come to the next phase, consensus, and eventually reconciliation. So that's our mandate. Our mandate is to lead the dialogue phase properly. So in the dialogue phase, we have the public or the potential stakeholders, and in between we have the conveners as well as the facilitators. So we can be facilitators as well as conveners. But before doing that, special education and training would be given to all stakeholders, including the public, different stakeholders, as well as the conveners and the facilitators.
When you facilitate or organize consultation forum of the different bodies at the federal and regional level on various agenda, if you find the result of the discussion something opposite than your plan, what will be your decision?
In the dialogue, people discuss their issues. What are the issues what have been the burning issues in the past, which could ignite or disturb, for instance, the harmony between different peoples or between different stakeholders. So our idea is, to facilitate the dialogue. The outcome will be brought back to the public and at the implementation phase. So it will be the decision of the public as well as the implementer. In this case, it could be the government as well as the public itself. So it will not be up to us to decide, which way to go and what to decide.
Really appreciate your presence here.
Thank you for inviting me to Kasar.
Now in business, Ethiopian Embassy in South Africa took part in World Travel Market Africa and the side events of African Tourism Investment Summit held from April 11 to 13, 2022 at Cape Town International Convention Center. In the three-day event, Ethiopian tourist destinations and tourist site projects that are open to foreign investors were promoted. Ethiopia has been implementing greenery and beautification projects under the Dine for the Nation initiative, which is led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed with a view to expanding tourist attraction sites in the country. Ethiopia announces that it is ready to host the 5 international German-Africa-related events that promote German and Africa products to the world community. Briefing journalists yesterday, Ethiopian Ministry of Tourism announces that Ethiopia will host the event from March 2nd to 4th, 2023. State Minister for Tourism, Seleshi Girma, explaining the potential of the country to host international events, said that having best international airline connectivity, international headquarters and diplomatic missions, making the city the convenient place to undertake international events. Concerning Made in Germany event that will be hosted, Ambassador of Germany to Ethiopia, Stephen Auer, said that the event will benefit the entire African business companies, traders, manufacturers, entrepreneurs and other agents of Africa. The ambassador stressed that the event will offer a big opportunity to find best economic opportunity and best economic and political solutions for Africa's needs. Well, viewers, let's now take a quick look at the foreign exchange rates of some currencies, and I'll be right back.